YouTube, this is BB. We are now on video part 2 of the 4 worst family vlogger, parent, adult moms, and one dad. In the previous one, I covered Alicia of the Doherty Dozen. Now, for next is the Christine from Family Fun Pack. And before I continue, please click that subscribe button. I would like to be able to hit 500 subscribers by Christmas. I'm just a small grain of sand in a really, really big ocean, but I'd appreciate some audience consistently. Thanks. So, moving on from Alicia the Doherty Dozen from the previous video of her grocery shopping, hoarding, turning her garage into a mini mart, and doing a lot of 5 a.m. vlogs, which really probably aren't at 5 in the morning. They're probably at 11 at night after all the kids have gone to bed. And she just has that broken clock that's... A broken clock is still right twice a day. So now we're going to move on to Christine from Family Fun Pack. I've been watching Family Fun Pack for like 9 or 10 years. On and off again, consistently. I've subscribed, I've unsubscribed, I've subscribed, I've unsubscribed. I started following them when they had like 60,000 subscribers. Like, way back before, it was like right after they started monetizing. So it's been a long time. It was when I think the youngest, no, not the youngest, the third youngest now, when Michael was like a year old. So, Christine from Family Fun Pack. Her husband Matt is equally as guilty. He used to be a high school math teacher. Maybe calculus, I think, or high school math of some sort, and eventually he quit his job to work from home, do something from home. And it wasn't during the COVID pandemic when teachers were suddenly all out of work. It was like 4 or 5 years ago when they couldn't decide whether they wanted to live in California or live in Hawaii, live in California, live in Hawaii, live in California, live in Hawaii. And they had a rental house there that they treated more like an Airbnb for a whole year rather than treating it like home, because they were there when their second youngest, Owen, was like a baby. They still treat him like a baby. I'll get to that. But he was like less than a year old, and they moved to Hawaii. And they just had him in a pack and play for like a year instead of in a crib. And then they came home, they had him in the crib, and then they moved back to Hawaii and they had him just back in a pack and play instead of in a crib or a toddler bed. And you know what? That was going to be my first point. They infantilized their kids. Not just... Let's start with Owen. Well, okay, they have their baby girl Chloe, who was born via surrogacy. Okay, Christine didn't do the pregnancy thing again a 7th time. Instead, she and Matt did surrogacy. So they hired someone and paid someone to be their surrogate, who thankfully was never featured on their vlogs. Thankfully. I'm so happy that that woman, whoever she is out there, decided not to be in their vlogs. Decided not to be on camera. Oh, thank goodness for that. But baby Chloe was born early, spent some time in the NICU. Then they brought her home, and then they clickbaited the fuck out of her NICU needs and her medications and her little health issues that small babies have when they're born a little bit too early. So they infantilized their youngest son, Owen. They still spoon feed him. You watch their vlogs, and you will see them spoon feeding him, fork feeding him. You will see them not giving him a chance, or not encouraging him, and not offering him the opportunity to feed himself with a fork, with a spoon, with his hands, with his fingers. They are literally spoon feeding him, and hand feeding him, and finger feeding him like he's a helpless baby bird. Like he's a helpless, less than 1-year-old getting his first solid foods but not having the pincer grasp. No, this kid has plenty of fine motor skills and gross motor skills, and he has been seen using a fork. He has been seen using a spoon. He has been seen putting food in his own mouth. But when the camera is on, you see them just hand feeding him nonstop. And it's very strange. Even the older siblings are all hand feeding him, and you can never hear anyone when they're feeding him. Come on, you can do it. Use the fork yourself. You're a big boy. You can do it. No, nothing. And then he's still in the crib. He's still in diapers. He's still in pull-ups. I mean, pull-ups at 5, whatever. But sometimes when he's running around and the camera is focused on him, you can see, you know, the toddler pants kind of falling down and you can see a diaper. That's ridiculous. And he has still a pacifier. And then he's still sleeping in a crib in the master bedroom with mom, dad, and the baby. And then they say that he has his own bedroom. And they tried showing the bed that they bought for him. But ultimately, you still see him sleeping in a crib. And this kid is, you know, he's a grower. He's a big kid. He's like 40 plus pounds and probably exceeds the weight limit for a crib mattress. It's just terrible. Come on, retire your kid from the crib and move him out into his own room or have him share with a sibling. Good grief. Okay, the mom, Christine, is she doesn't do grocery hauls. It's so weird. The only grocery haul videos, the only grocery shopping videos you'll see is the occasional time where they take all the kids to an Albertsons or a Safeway and they let the kids pick the little tiny toddler-sized shopping carts at the front entrance. And they do, you know, whatever you can fit in the grocery cart is what you can buy. They don't do those often anymore. They haven't done them. I think they did one like a year ago in 2021, but there wasn't much to it. And it seemed kind of redundant because they had even the older twin boys using the little tiny toddler shopping carts, and they were just bending over and having a struggle, and it was just like, what the hell? Stop infantilizing your kids. Oh my god. She loves infantilizing her kids, especially on camera. She loves being validated in the comments, both on Instagram and YouTube, that, oh, you're such a great mom because you baby your kids and you love them and you spoil them and you give them so much opportunity to hold back on growing up too fast. That's her goal. She doesn't want them to grow up at all. She still has her almost 16-year-old daughter wearing JoJo Siwa headbands and hair bows from like 10 years ago. And JoJo Siwa is like 21 now. So, there's that. And then okay, that's part of the materialism. The other materialism is makeup. She takes her daughter to a bunch of like makeup stores and makeup conventions and makeup fairs, and they don't do any makeup tutorials. They don't do any makeup videos. They don't do any my makeup routine videos at all, but they have like boxes and crates and totes and junk drawers and cabinets and bins full of just random makeup that probably half of it is expired because they just do that. Another thing they really have in hordes of quantities of materialism is like strollers. Less than, what was it, 4 months ago, I think? 3 or 4 months ago, right after baby Chloe was born, and she came home from the NICU, Christine did a YouTube video of why we have 11 strollers. Look at all these strollers. Why I need 9 or 11 or 15 strollers for one baby. Wow. Can you say hoarding? Can you say waste of money? Can you say materialism? I mean, yeah, maybe the last 2 strollers she used with Owen are probably a little bit worn out by now. But you could still just have one travel system and then alternate between baby wearing and having the baby in the stroller with the bassinet function with the bassinet holder thing or with the car seat on the stroller, as long as it goes with the stroller. But no, she just does this. It's ridiculous. It's very selfish at that point. Because most people who have kids have like one stroller per kid and maybe a second one later on if it's like a compact umbrella stroller or something that doesn't take up as much of a footprint. And then, here's another thing. In the last 5 or 6 years, they've been homeschooling, but there have been no homeschool channel for them. There's been no homeschool halls videos, no homeschool curriculum hall, no homeschool lesson planning videos, no showing a day in the life of homeschooling our kids videos. Absolutely jack shit with the homeschool. They mention it every now and then, and they show it every now and then, just kind of in the background, or they say, oh, this kid has so much homework to do because he didn't get it finished. Homework? Why not just call it schoolwork? You're homeschooling. Why should they be doing homework when they're homeschooling? You get my point? It's kind of redundant. And the books that they have shown, I'm pretty sure they choose a secular route of homeschooling, but they show so many workbooks that you don't see any. I've taken screenshots or screen grabs. I pause a video and I've taken screen grabs and screenshots of the big stacks of workbooks. And it just looked like they raided a Lakeshore store, but didn't buy any actual homeschool curriculum or a language arts curriculum. They just got all the supplemental resource books, photocopy books, and they're just like, oh, here's some workbooks. Teach yourselves. It's that kind of thing that it looks like. It doesn't look like it's good or legit education that she's doing with her kids. It just really doesn't seem like it. And then she never shows her kids reading or doing homeschool work. She doesn't show them doing chores. And she doesn't show them exhibiting self-sufficiency at all. It's like self-sufficiency, independence, doing big people things for themselves, making their own sandwiches, making their own snacks, slicing their own apples, peeling an orange or a halo or a cutie by themselves. I've seen videos of where the kids just hand their mom a cutie or an orange or a halo, and they're like, can you peel this for me? You can teach a 5-year-old to do it themselves. Maybe a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, but you can teach a 5-year-old. You can teach a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old. Ridiculous. And yeah, she has come under fire many times for, I guess you could call it lack of car seat safety or being overzealous with car seat safety to the point where she's no longer being safe with the car seats that she has her kids still in. Which is fine for her newborn and her 5-year-old and even her 8-year-old to be in car seats. But she still has her 12-year-old boys in car seats they've been in for like 5 or 6 years. They've outgrown physically the harness and weight limit and height limit, but she still has them 5-point harness. But they're 12 and a half years old, they're 5 feet tall, they have already outgrown the maximum usage of the harnesses. You can see it in a lot of their vlogs. They do a lot of vlogging when they're in the car, and she loves showing off how her kids are all in car seats, except her 2 oldest, who have definitely... She had her oldest daughter in a car seat until she was 12 or 13, 5-point harness, and then she was boostered for ages until she was like 14 and a half, and then she had a major growth spurt and no more booster. And then the oldest son was also 5-point harnessed until he was like 13. And then he was in a booster for a while, and then he had a growth spurt, so no more car seat. But then the twin boys are still... She says, oh, they're in 7th grade now. But they're still in car seats. Even though they've outgrown them. But they still fit. Okay, you know what? That's my rant today about Family Fun Pack. My next rant is going to be on the Binghams, Mindy and Brandon Bingham, with their Costco junk food hauls, overpriced clothes for their kids, house number 4, custom built, vacations, etc. And then my other video will be on Just Fam. Okay, stick around. Please subscribe. I would love to get to that 500 mark by Christmas for subscribers. I'm just a small grain of sand in a very wide ocean. Okay, bye.